not only will we have the final report done with the EPA project, but we'll have all the problems solved with the EPA project. Okay, so that's it for septic. I wanted to share with you what we're trying to do with this Efficient Energy and Conservation Block Grant. There's a schematic of both floors of the courthouse. This is another stimulus package grant that's available. It's through Region 2 Planning and Development, and what the commission's hoping to apply for, I don't know how many of you have spent time in various offices in the courthouse, but you'll notice, depending on where you sit, that if you sit under the wrong outlet, you'll either roast or you'll freeze. And one of the problems is that the heating and cooling system that is in the courthouse is really old, and so it's sort of like a louvered system that when you turn the thermostat, if you want it to be hot, it should cut off the cooling and open up the heating, but it doesn't work. All those things are stuck. So the hope is that we could go after this block grant. It's a $200,000 maximum, and what we do is we replace all 50 of the current heating and cooling ceiling boxes in the courthouse, and then we put 8 more in for the places where, since the original ductwork went in, we subdivided and have new offices. Each room would have its own controls for the box. There'd be a variable frequency drive in the fans and the boiler room that we'd add, and we'd increase the size of the chilled water coil that's down there. And that sort of shows you what we're looking at, and here's the project, basically. One of the things that just happened today, because this is federal money, we had to go to the Department of Culture and History and get what's called a SHPO letter, which is the historic preservation people saying that, or agreeing that we wouldn't destroy any historic things during this project. So we got the letter back today from SHPO saying, because the courthouse is not eligible as a historic building, they didn't see any problem with it, so they gave us that permission. The second sheet there is an economic cost comparison, and if you'll sort of down through here, you've got, at the very top, you've got number 1 and number 2. Number 1's what's happening right now. Okay? And the utility costs run about $30,000. No, that's not right. Yeah, that's right, $30,000. I'm trying to understand all this stuff before we send it in itself. The second alternative is putting in this new system, which costs, the original thought was it would cost $214,000. So that's what alternative 2 is. If you go down where it has the different columns, Alt 1 versus Alt 2, you'll see the number of years it's going to take to break even. And each year you're going to be saving some money on it. The thing to remember is that the grant is going to put $200,000 into it. So if you look at the second column and you take off the $200,000, or actually the first column where it says cash flow difference, and take off the $200,000, you know, it's going to be real cost effective, and by the third year, it's going in savings on electric and heating bills. It's going to have paid for itself. When we worked with the folks in Charleston at Train to develop this, we were originally thinking of $214,000, but if we add the 8 boxes, it's going to be $241,000. So this will be skewed off a little bit, but the thought is that in 3 years it's going to pay for itself. So the financing, if we got the grant, which we're hoping we would be $200,000 in Region 2, And then I'd like to bring to the commission a consideration that the commission would put in $41,000 in order to have the amount of money that we need to do this project.
So you need a commitment at this juncture.
At this juncture, so that when we put the grant, the thought is we put the grant in next Friday, a week from this Friday, and that we would write it for $241,000, with $200 coming from them and $41 coming from the commission.
And I'm trying to think, there is $200,000 available.
Yes.
There's no guarantee that we get the full two, but if we did,
right.
I guess our,
We come back to the
we
drawing.
come back and decide to do part of it or something.
We could.
And to put the 41 up now, it would probably entice them to make it more attractive to get the 200.
Yes. Yes.
I move that we give the 41 necessary to go after this grant.
I'll second it. Being all yes vote, motion carries.
Did you have a question?
And I'm just thinking myself, this probably should be earmarked for coal severance money.
And if we didn't, whatever happens, I'll come back. If we, get less, I'll come back and let you know, and we can figure that out. Okay. One more. This is the Flex E grant. I'm sorry, I didn't give you one of those. Okay. The Flex E grant is a grant from the State Development Office that we have gotten, and the grant is to sort of take us forward so that we actually do some construction on Camp Lakeview, the residence camp on the left fork of the Mud River. What you see there is, after the first page is the midterm report that we had to submit to them, and what we're moving toward is a community meeting on May 25th. We hired a person to help us work through this. She also actually wrote the Flex E proposal. We're asking people to come to a community meeting and make a short-term commitment, maybe 6 months, 9 months, to help us work through several different pieces that we think are important to move the project forward. One of them is fundraising. One of them is actually the construction and design. And we're committed to making this a green, constructed project that would generate some of its own energy. Another would be immediate use of the camp for recreational projects, how we market it and do public relations, and then a business development plan. So the thought is on the 25th, we break into groups and ask people to go to these different groups, make a time commitment, and come up with some ideas for it. So that's where we are at that. My thought would be that after that meeting, we would probably come back to the commission